Hey, what's up? So I just wanted to share a few of the things that I've been through over the last week or so because I know that I'm not the only one who goes through this kind of stuff. And I've certainly received certain insights from the experience. So I tell you, just, leading up to this whole, to the winter solstice, I was struggling. I mean, I made a number of videos about that struggle, about just taking a look at everything that's going on and not sure what direction to move in. It was a time of real uncertainty for me, and that was challenging to go through. And so that's why I made videos about it, because I just needed somebody to talk to. And like I said, I know I'm not the only person who goes through this kind of stuff, but I was really challenged by my circumstances. I mean, one of the things is, like, leading up to Christmas. So I live with my boss and his daughter and stuff like that. And so I'm here for Christmas, but I don't have any family around me for Christmas, any people that I'm related to. And that was really challenging for me, like leading up to the solstice. That was the turning point. But up to that point, I just couldn't get out of a sort of a negative mindset where I was, even though there's a part of me which knows that it's like, okay, be grateful for everything that you have. Don't focus on what you don't have. It's not like I don't have a family. It's just that nobody's around. And it's like, I don't like to feel alone, right? But that's where I was at. And so it was certainly challenging for me to just be here and be going through everything that I'm going through. And I just felt really alone, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with myself with the rest of my life. Big old question that every one of us, well, a lot of us face, right? It's like, what am I doing with myself? What's the right path for me? How do I move forward? How do I take the path of least resistance? What's the next step in my journey? And I made a list of all these things that I wanted to do, and then I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll do this. But at the end of the day, I never really came to a conclusion that I felt positive about, or like that was good enough. Every time I wrote a few poems about it, it felt like every time I would take a step forward, I would just be at another crossroads. And then I would take not one step forward, one step back, just every step is just another crossroads and another crossroads. And it got frustrating because it's like, I would just like to channel my energy into something. I would like to just move forward on a project and give it my all, put my hands, my head, and my heart and in the same direction, and then let my feet take me there. And I was struggling to do that. And so I was looking for a direction, trying to choose something. And, there's certain pieces of my puzzle, like I'm in a house now, but I don't live here and I can't stay here. And I have to come next year when it gets warm enough, I need to find somewhere else to live. And for me, that is that van. If you've seen any of my other videos, or some of them anyways, I've been fixing up a high top van. And so the thing is like life on the road or life anywhere. It's like, there's a lot of things that a person could do, but if you don't have a workshop, if you don't have a space to do them, then it can, you just can't do them. And some things too, it's just like, am I doing this for the right reason? Is it just for money? Is this the best? Does it make sense for me as well as giving my gift for others, whatever that is? And at the end of the day, I thought it would be cool to give advice to people and things like that. But honestly, it would take so much to set that up. And, I realized that no matter what I chose to do, it would all take this essentially the same amount of energy to do. And so it's like, very important to choose what you're going to put your energy behind, because you have options. And so it's like, okay, do I really want to do that? And it's like, well, no. What makes the most sense? And the answer was, like to do certain things, maybe, whereas my list was like to do with like woodworking, or even like giving advice. You need to set up websites, you need to do marketing, advertising, you need to get your name out there, you need to put yourself out there, there's a lot of things that are required of you in order to pursue any kind of an endeavor, a business endeavor. If it was woodworking, you'd have to buy the tools and you have to keep them somewhere. You have to have somewhere to work. You have to have like a variety of elements. And then you have to constantly produce. And it's just like, is that really what I want? And it's like, I had to take a step back and I was like, well, hold on a second. Like when I sold my house years ago, I put everything behind becoming an artist. I like the idea of being an artist because you don't, a lot of what's created, like say my book, it's digital. And so it doesn't take up a ton of space. I don't need a storage locker. I don't need a trailer full of stuff. There's no cleanup. I don't have to put myself in harm's way. Like doing woodworking and stuff like that, you cut a finger off. I hit my finger the other day, 3 times in the same spot. The last like few boards putting in flooring, and I hit it in the same spot, and it's all purple now. It's actually not that bad, but I'm just tired of doing stuff where I'm putting myself in harm's way, where I'm putting myself in filth's way, where I'm essentially doing danger pay or is danger pay or dirty work. And it's like, I have a creative element in me that I would like to work with, rather than cleaning up other people's mess or doing things that they don't want to do, because you could cut a finger off, right? Or cut a hand off. And then and flooring is like that. And so I realized it's like, I think I just got cold feet, and I was worried that, I don't know. The point is that my choice was to stick with making music and writing a book, because ultimately, if either of those things were where I wanted them to be, then I wouldn't do the other stuff. I wouldn't start certain other businesses, get involved in other things. So it was hugely important, to go down this path of feeling lost and frustrated and confused and even angry, in a sense, at my situation, kind of at myself, meaning just that. By anger, I don't mean being mad. I mean looking at something and seeing it to be incongruent with what I know is possible, with what I know my potential is greater than danger pay and filth pay. I am aware of this, yet I'm struggling to rise above. And so, I guess like what all of this is leading up to, it was great to finally be like, okay, hold on a second. I've invested in writing a book. I have 10 years invested in this. Don't walk away now. You're almost done. What are you doing? And this had to dawn on me. It didn't just like, I don't know why. I suppose I was shying away from it for, I have certain reasons why. Like I started this new software, and it took a while to learn it. It's called Scrivener. It's book writing software, and it's just, I lost to transfer the text over, I essentially lost all of the formatting. So it stops looking like a book so much, but it's like, it's better because then instead of it being this finished, polished manuscript that it looks like, you can just focus on the writing, which at the end of the day, that is what's the most important as far as finishing writing a book and getting ready to publish and whatnot. It's not all those little finishing touches, those are just getting in the way. And so very important to come around to using a new piece of software and then getting comfortable with that and the whole process and things like that. And yeah, so like just this whole process, I mean, and then the rest of it was like, yeah, I was just, like I said, with Christmas coming up and stuff like that, and just not feeling super awesome. I was feeling negative, and I decided that instead of like pretending like some of those negative feelings weren't there, rather than trying to cover them up or pretend that they're not there, or to just I decided to embrace it instead and allow myself to feel upset that things aren't exactly how I would like them. Yeah, and it was very helpful to just take that time to sit back and give voice to it, allow myself to cry, to just be pissed off, to take time and just be like, whoa, I stayed away from everybody and everything, including the people that I lived with. I just come up to my room and I spend all of my time alone and doing things that would distract me or whatever, but going through my own process in my own way. And it was good, just to, like Lao Tzu says, if you want something to go away, let it express itself fully. And so good advice in that sort of did. And then the solstice came around, and which was the other day, and I honestly, on that day, I look at it as it is the end of a year. If you look at it like that, it's the end of one year, the beginning of a new cycle, for what it's worth. It's a time of transition. It's a turning over. It's a turning of a page, or the turning over of a leaf. It's a new era, for what it's worth. I mean, and so it kind of, and post the winter solstice, I have just felt so much better about everything. That negativity, those feelings of being alone and not confused, but feelings of being alone and searching for answers have dissipated. And I'm really glad that I took the time to honor that process and didn't try to didn't overlook it, and I value what I was going through, right? And then and it's just funny how that moment, it's just a day. You can observe it, you can not observe it. For myself, I have noticed in my own life as well, and I've in talking with other people too, for some people, it actually, it's not just a thing that's an idea that we say, okay, this is significant and this is what it means. It's an experience that people go through where there is an energy there's a prevailing energy, and you just have to work with that. You have to learn how to work with it, to go through it, to get through it, and then come out the other side. And to do with moon cycles, and also to do with the yearly cycle. And so, yeah, it was, on the other side of the winter solstice, it just felt a little more positive. I mean, and that is the case just like physically, like physics, like how, because it is the shortest day of the year, and then post that, the days get a little bit longer, there's more light, there's more positivity. It's funny how these cycles can have what they say is they don't have an effect on us. They are a reflection of processes that are taking place within us. So it's not like we're victim to them. It's more, it's like that's the whole thing. Like it's a reflection. And so I was talking with somebody today more about Christmas. Like this person asked me, was like, oh, what did you do for the solstice? And I said, I just took time to myself. I made what, like for me, the Christmas day and like everything to do with Christmas and New Year's has almost zero significance to me at all, because for me, it's not in alignment with anything that I understand to be substantial. And I don't mean the birth of Christ. I am for what it's worth, from all the teachers that I'm aware of, everybody says there was a guy, an enlightened individual named Jesus or Yeshua back in the day. I'm not saying I don't, I'm just saying none of that is tied up with this time of the year. That's something else, and the new year and this and that. But the solstices and equinoxes and cross quarters, those are a real thing. That can be measured and experienced. And so the thing is like, what does it mean? And we're talking about like this whole Christmas time where it's like you can get really caught up in the whole thing where it's like about gifts, about giving and receiving and that kind of stuff. I mean, it's one way to go about it. I mean, family is a big thing, like I mentioned. I mean, I used to have big gatherings with my family, and I used to enjoy them, and receiving gifts and giving gifts and all that kind of stuff too. I mean, and the feast that comes along with the season, I mean, or the holiday. But there is another side of it too, like for myself, when like what I said to this person is like, because I don't equate this time of the year with anything other than the solstice, which is just a turning point. It's the beginning of a new cycle. Like the thing for me, I guess, what was it? We started talking about Santa Claus, right? And there are some things out there which I have never heard anything to do with that is based on anything tangible, real. But about that idea, not Santa Claus, right? Not old Saint Nick, but a winter spirit, absolutely. And so like according to like Bashar, the name of the winter spirit is Kernanos. And then on the other side of, because it's like there's a polarity to it, there's Kernanos on the positive side, and then there was Krampus on the quote unquote negative side. And the idea was more along the lines of, if you've, it's like we've gone through a full cycle. Here we are in the dead of winter, and then gonna start fresh again, spring, summer, all that kind of stuff is coming, brighter days, warmer days, all that kind. And it's like, well, so for me, it's like this time it's a time of reflection. It's not about giving and receiving. Although I suppose like if you were explaining it to children, you'd say, you'd look back on the past year and say, okay, well, this is what happened. This is what we did. This is how we behaved. This is how we treated others. This is how we treated ourselves. And do we want to continue with that? Was it all in alignment with our values and our, with our values and stuff like that? And or do we want to maybe move in another direction? Do we want to try taking our life in a different, or embracing life in a different way? And so, and I think that the idea was that old Keranos, like if you were a good child, then you would essentially be rewarded by being given something nice. Whereas if you look back on the year, and meaning your parents look back and it's like, well, this is how you behaved. This is how you treated your brother and sister. This is, and so you don't get something, you don't get rewarded for bad behavior. That is terrible parenting. And cause it's a funny thing, it came up, this idea of entitlement. It's like, just because it's, you're not entitled to gifts. You're not entitled to be, showered with stuff that you don't deserve. I think that it's important to teach that your actions have consequences, and they're not, and so, to me, this whole time of the year, it's way more about stuff like that. It's a time of reflection. It's a time of looking back, and it's also a time of looking forward. Okay, one last thing, just to wrap that up. I think that the point is, certainly to do with this whole season it's that, and to do with the sense of entitlement. It's like, it's that what you put out is what you get back, and it's a very important lesson that I think that can be taught to children, is that, what you put out is exactly what you can expect to get back. You reap what you sow. And so the idea is that you're not entitled to being given things. You're not, you don't deserve it just because you exist. You make your own bed and then you sleep in it. So cause and effect. Yeah.